He's taken the Republican Party a long way, from morning in America to midnight in America.
I thought she'd give me a big, fat, beautiful congratulations. You know, if she did that, would that have been cool?
Hillary Clinton going after Donald Trump at the Democratic convention, and Trump apparently disappointed she wasn't nicer to him. And it's time now for our Sunday group. Syndicated columnist George Will, Fox News political analyst Juan Willaims, Julie Pace, who covers the White House and the campaign for the Associated Press, and GOP strategist Karl Rove. Well, Karl, your thoughts about Clinton and her strategy reaching out, both at the convention and in our interview?
There's a tension in the attempt to conduct the kind of campaign she needs to conduct in order to generate the Obama coalition and reaching out to independents and Republicans. And we saw this in her speech, and we also saw it in the interview. Obviously, a big concern is the economy. And at the convention, she said Obama doesn't get credit, but then she turned and said, we've got all these problems. No pay raise, lack of social mobility, income inequality, people are being left behind. And here are my answers. And my answers are, let's have another big stimulus bill. Let's have clean energy jobs like Solyndra. Let's have Obamacare. We need to take care of our health care problems. We need to have free college, not for everybody, but for anybody who makes less than $125,000 a year. And we need infrastructure banks, which she repeated this morning. Exactly the kind of insider deal. Let's use taxpayer money to put set up something that private people can make money off of. And how are we going to pay for all of this? The Democratic Party is no longer the party of Keynes. It is now the party of Willie Sutton. She said we're going to raise taxes on the 1% and corporations. And why? Quote, that's where the money is. Well, we have the 1% is already paying 38% of the tax burden. We have the highest corporate tax rates in the country. These kind of things are not, these are the things that Republicans hate, independents are highly dubious about. And then finally, the Supreme Court. Whenever she starts talking about the Supreme Court, it's the thing that causes Republicans who are deeply suspicious of Donald Trump to rally to his side, because she's talking about appointing a liberal justice to the Supreme Court, which will affect everything from the Second Amendment to the environment to immigration, you name it. She wants executive power.
Well, she said there were some things, Supreme Court decisions she said she wants to overturn, like Citizens United, and obviously she would like to see the court go in the favor of Obama on deportation, deferring that. But she said she doesn't want to overturn gun control in Heller.
Well, I've gone to her website. While you were interviewing her, I went to her website. She is frankly incomprehensible on most things when it comes to gun control. She makes several points on her website. She wants to ban, quote, military-style weapons. Well, what are those? Are those hunting rifles that have more than one cartridge in the rifle at any given time? And how is she going to do that? Confiscate everybody who's got an AR-15 that they use for today lawful purposes? She talked about expanding the ability of trial lawyers to sue gun manufacturers. That's not got nothing to do with gun control. That is benefiting a particular interest of the Democratic Party and a funder of her campaigns. And then she talked about terror lists and no-fly lists. Well, we have a comprehensive bill before Congress that has drawn bipartisan support, supported by Senator Cornyn. Throw her support behind that. This really is, frankly, more about symbolism than it is real action.
Julie, it's clear from the clip we ran at the beginning about turning morning in America to midnight in America, and frankly, the fact that she sat down with us first time in the campaign, that she is trying to reach out to independents. She is trying to reach out to Republicans who may be disaffected or uncomfortable with Donald Trump. How much is the Clinton camp counting on that?
Well, I think that they look at this election, and there's no doubt that when it comes particularly to her domestic policy, that she is much more in line with the Obama coalition than she would be with some independents and Republicans. But you hear this phrase from the Clinton campaign a lot, and it's permission structure. They feel like there are independents and Republicans out there who are just unnerved by the idea of Donald Trump being commander-in-chief. But they're not going to suddenly wake up one day and like Hillary Clinton or align with her on most policies. But they want to give them a permission structure to line up with her. And they feel like a steady hand on foreign policy, a steady hand on commander-in-chief, someone who understands military threats from abroad, that could be what leads some of these people to line up behind her.
We ask you for questions for the panel, and we got this on Facebook from Joe Ranger. He writes, how does the panel feel about the Democrats actively pursuing traditional Republican voters and independents disaffected by the Trump effect? George, As someone who is so disaffected by Donald Trump that you're no longer a Republican, how do you answer Joe?
Well, there are a number of them out there, people who are just queasy and are looking for permission, as they say, to do this. I don't know how many there are. In 2004, the architect of the Bush re-election campaign, also known as Karl Rove, said there were, 7% you thought undecided that year. Clearly, and I think you'd agree, there are many more than 7%.
More than twice as much. We have the largest number of undecideds that we've had since 1992.
Now, so there are some Democrats, and these are the Democrats who wanted Elizabeth Warren to be her running mate, said, look, there are more Democrats and liberals and Republicans and conservatives. Let's unite the Democrats and we win that way. The problem for Republicans is the day after the convention, the government released the statistic you cited in your interview with Mrs. Clinton, 1.2% growth in the second quarter. If Mr.
Slowest
Trump,
recovery since 1949.
if Mr. Trump were into making arguments, that would be the argument to take to the country. But he doesn't do that. Instead, his persona keeps getting in the way. And the persona is what is making people queasy. Mitt Romney had an extremely united Republican Party in 2012, and he lost. And when we talk about how many are involved here, 537 Florida votes turned the presidency in the year 2000. So marginal differences can make huge differences. Furthermore, I think Mrs. Clinton has to run against the argument that some conservatives make, which is the point of voting is to express an opinion, and not voting is an expression of opinion.
So, big picture, Juan, at the end, now we've had the Republican convention in Cleveland, Democratic convention in Philadelphia. Where do you see this race now?
Well, I mean, let's look at the mechanics of it, Chris. So if you were with Rebuilding America Now, which is the Trump super PAC, where are they focusing? Where are they putting their money and their ads? The answer is Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida. So they think if they can get those states into the Trump column, they have a chance to win, to get towards the 270 electoral votes. We've seen this weekend Mrs. Clinton, where you interviewed her, in Pennsylvania. She's going to go on to Ohio. Trump and Pence, Ohio, Florida. So we can see that that is the focus right now. But what you look on the ground, you come into some really strange conclusions. Trump's campaign has run no ads. Mrs. Clinton has run 30,000 ads. Trump's campaign has about 60 staffers. Mrs. Clinton has about 600 staffers. This is a big difference in terms of the mechanics. And then you think about those states I mentioned to you. In Florida, the Hispanic vote is nowhere near going for Donald Trump. John Kasich in Ohio, the governor, is strongly anti-Trump. No Republican has won Pennsylvania since 1988. And despite the Trump effort to move the base of the Republican Party from the South into the industrial Midwest on the theory that the trade argument made by Bernie Sanders could get some disaffected white males to come over to Trump, what we've seen so far is Hillary Clinton reaching out, I think, pretty strongly to white women in those areas, saying she's about family and kids. That was a theme of that Democratic convention.
Karl, is it that bleak for Trump? I mean, and as the architect of 2000 and 2004, what would you be advising Trump now in terms of where to go and what to say?
I think Juan has depicted some of the contrasts in the style of campaigning, but there is a reason why the Trump campaign is focused on Florida, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. If they win those three states plus everything that Mitt Romney won, they will be at 273 electoral votes and go into the White House. Pennsylvania is up for grabs. Democrat friends of mine who are involved in the Clinton effort readily acknowledge the state is changing. Since 2012, there's been a 200,000 vote shift in registration in Pennsylvania away from the Democrats and towards the Republicans. Similarly in Florida, since 2012, there's been a 300,000 vote change in registration towards the Republicans and away from the Democrats in a state that Barack Obama won by 94,000 votes last time around. These states are going to be in contention, but one of the reasons why they're going to be in contention all the way to the end is both major political parties are being disrupted. The Republicans have a problem with college educated, particularly women, but also men. The Democrats have a huge problem with blue-collar, high school educated men and women. And as a result, that's why we have the highest number of undecideds that we've had since 1992. And that's why both political parties have nominees who are drawing a less than historic average among their own party's adherents. It's going to be a close race all the way to the end.
Karl, I think you would acknowledge that in
but
Pennsylvania.
let me finish. I would agree, though, with with Juan, that the style of campaigning, the fact that we have this very unconventional campaign that is based around personality, based around the persona, run in an entirely different way, spends more time worrying about Twitter than he does about get out the vote, more time about, you know, his rallies than he does big data, that this is going to be an interesting thing to see how it plays out.
Julie, quick.
Well, I was just going to go to 2004, and data, your campaign in 2004 was really instrumental in formalizing and organizing get out the vote efforts. And I think that if this is a close race in the end, you do have to give an edge to the Clinton campaign because they actually have mechanisms in place to go out and find their voters and make sure they get to the polls.
Guys, you're stealing time from the next segment, and I want to talk to you about some other stuff. But you know, this is going to be the last conversation we have. We have 99 days. We have to take a break here.